Morrow. Here. Vice President Chaput, present. Vice Treasurer Hokuson, absent. Chief of Staff. Here. Director of PR. Yeah, here. All right. Director of Wellness and Inclusion. Director of Leadership and Development. Director of Campus and Community Outreach is absent, and make a correction to Vice Treasurer Hookinson is present. Pro Temp Ludowan. Senator Fisher. Here. Senator Khan. Here. Senator Pena. Here. Senator Rose. Here. Senator Ritchie. Here. Senator Novak. Here. Senator Capo. Here. Senator Beckman. Here. Advisor Artajani. Here. Advisor Wadsworth. Here. Webb. Here. CFB. Here. Wildcat Media. Here. Wildcat Esports. SAC is absent, and Res Life, there is no Res Life as current. That concludes roll call. Moving into the approval of the minutes agenda, starting with today's agenda. Is there any discussion for today's agenda? Senator Fisher.
In today's agenda, I'd like to correct in new business under Bill number 2526-13, modification of commencement policy. Senator Fisher reading my last name is spelled incorrectly. That is the German spelling of my last name. I would like to change that from Fisher with a C to just have Fisher, no C.
We have a motion to remove the C from Fisher. Is there a second? Second by Senator Ritchie. Moving to discussion on the amendment. Is there any discussion for the amendment? Seeing no discussion, does anyone not approve of unanimous approval? Seeing no disapproval, that passes unanimously. Moving on back into discussion of the agenda as a whole. Our audience member. Sure. So when writing up the agenda, we looked back at previous resolutions, bills, things that were made in the past, including the last reserves poll last year. And we saw no update in numbers between weeks. So as we've divided the question, once the section is voted on, the numbers will be updated. But as we are currently in Webb's numbers, we can't update the numbers as they have not been passed yet. Back into discussion as the agenda as a whole. Is there any further discussion for the agenda of today? Webb? Could you say the first part a little bit more clearly?
Can I make a motion to skip all reports today, as we have very important things on the agenda we have to get to?
We have a motion to strike reports from the agenda. Is there a second? Second by Senator Beckman. Moving into discussion. Is there any discussion for the amendment? Senator Fisher.
I'd like to oppose this because I feel the reports are necessary because we haven't really said anything, because the reports are a way to show to the public what we're doing. And we haven't had reports at all this year. And I feel like the committee reports definitely should be done because we have our set times mostly. So I feel this objection, this motion should be called back. I yield.
All right. Senator Novak?
Yeah, I feel like we need to have it, at least for the community reports, just because that way most people, not that a lot of people do come to these meetings or watch the live streams, but this is one of the few ways we have, other than just people checking Clock or Engage, to find out we have our committees at these times, which is one of our only ways of advertising these committees to get students to get involved and actually voice their opinions, which is the point of these committees.
All right. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll move into voting on the amendment. All those in favor of striking reports from the agenda, please raise your hand. All those opposed? And all those who abstain? That dies 2-7-0. All right, back into the agenda as a whole. Is there any further discussion for today's agenda? Seeing no further discussion, we'll be moving on to voting on today's agenda. All those in favor of today's agenda, please raise your hand. All those opposed, all those who abstain, that passes 9-0-0. Moving on to last week's minutes. Is there any discussion for last week's minutes? Senator Novak.
So, I'm not sure really if it matters that much because it could just count as stylistic, but I have a problem with the roll call from last semester. I mean, not last semester, last week. I feel like we only have on there the excused and absent. We don't have anyone else on there, so going forward to the future, it's going to be hard to tell who was there during that meeting, especially since it's the first meeting of the semester. So we don't, for example, have our, like if someone just to go back and look at the minutes, we can't tell who dropped from being a senator last semester and who joined, like in between breaks or anything else like that. So because of that, I feel like we should edit the minutes to have all the names in there. So just since also wouldn't be that hard because it's just copy and paste from the agenda, and therefore I feel it's going to be more accurate and provide more better information to students going forward or anyone who wishes to look at these past minutes. I yield.
Would you like to make a motion to add the names?
Would that be a motion or would that just be house rules?
Because of the amount that it is, I'd like to ask that that be made
Okay.
a motion.
I guess, can I make a motion to add in the names of people who are present to roll call in the meetings, the meeting minutes of January 22nd?
We have a motion to add in the remaining members that are not mentioned in roll call for the minutes. Is there a second? Sent by Pro Temp Ludewan. Moving into discussion. Is there any discussion for this amendment? Seeing no discussion, we'll be moving into voting. Does anyone not approve of unanimous approval? Seeing no disapproval, that passes unanimously. Back into the minutes as a whole. Is there any discussion for the minutes? Our audience member? I would like to ask that a motion be made to specify that that's the SU article, SU Policies and Procedures, Article 9. As for if the motion can be made or not, it is allowed to be made.
I guess I'll hear out the motion.
Just state the full motion, yeah.
To add policies and procedures and then the name of that article to the agenda, minutes.
All right, we have a motion to amend the first motion made, now stating motion to suspend SU Policy and Procedures, Article 9, Section 9.3. Is there a second? Second by Senator Rose. Is there any discussion for this motion? Seeing no discussion, does anyone not approve of unanimous approval? Seeing no disapproval, that passes unanimously. Back in discussion of the minutes as a whole, is there any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, we'll be moving to voting. All those in favor of the minutes of last week's meeting, please raise your hand. All those who oppose and all those who abstain, that passes 9-0-0. All right, that concludes the approval of the minutes and agenda. Moving on to announcements. We have a vice president announcement. Hello all, I'd like to formally announce the resignation of Senator Hordern and Senator Gillis from over the break. Thank you. Moving on to guest speakers. There are no guest speakers. Moving on to executive reports, starting with President Lunaharo.
Good morning, everyone. I want to officially welcome everyone back. I know I wasn't here for last week's Senate meeting, but I just want to give everybody a quick report on everything that has been happening over the winter break and all the plans that I have for this semester generally. So President Wally and I have been discussing a few plans to renovate the late night lounge. I know our Student Center Committee has been working towards something regarding that. In addition, the makerspace in Donovan as well, there's a few discussion on working into making that into a dedicated space. As of right now, it's still in the talks with, in terms of what exactly we want to make it. So in terms of what exactly that entails, we have a few brainstormed ideas, but I'm always open to suggestions from anybody. We are trying to solidify an idea before the end of January. So please let me know if you have any strong suggestions. Ideally, I would have loved this report to have gone out last week, but it didn't, so time's of the matter here. So if anybody has any strong ideas for the late night lounge or the makerspace, please let me know as soon as possible so we could have that discussion with President Wally and see where we can move on from there. For those of you who don't know what the makerspace is, if you walk in Donovan from the entrance from the bridge and you look to the left, there's that big glass area that's looks kind of like a lab but isn't really a lab. That's the makerspace, and we're trying to figure out to build it into something dedicated. So just to give everybody an idea of what's happening, all other projects are underway, and you'll be able to see them happen very, very soon. The Free Buzz initiative is still on the plans. I know it's still on our reserves pool, so we'll be waiting for that. The resolution system being properly solidified, so it lasts after my term. The way it is right now, it's very informal and personal with me and the president, so I want it to last after my term. And other exciting projects that are complete but will be announced and launched properly once they are fully solidified, so please look out for those. Also, one thing I mentioned last semester, that my goal was establishing a strong communication line between SGU and the admins and faculty. So if any committees or anybody has issues with dealing with any faculty, staff member not showing up for your committee meetings or anything like that, please let me know. I am going to put my best foot forward to get them to take student government seriously, as that is my responsibility. This semester's goal is going to be full of action items and exciting new things, so please look out for that, and thank you.
Alrighty. Moving on to Vice President report. Hello all. I know it's been a couple weeks, but welcome back to campus. Currently, I've been working on some pretty major policy changes in the background. I can't quite get into it yet, but I will be able to hopefully very soon. Along with that, I've been working with the committees to make sure everything can get up and running as quickly as possible, which should be reflected within the committee reports. And working with the committee heads is my plan over this next semester so that we can have a little bit more intercommunication between the committees. Thank you. Moving on to, that concludes executive reports. Moving on to director reports, starting with Chief of Staff.
Hello, everyone. Me and the directors are currently working on certain events and initiatives for this semester. First of all, we have an alumni networking event that we're working on, free student headshot session, getting an external guest here, and also 2 wellness and inclusion events. We also have the professional development day that we're planning and the SUNY essay visit. That's it. Thank you.
All right, Director of PR.
Hi, good afternoon. Throughout the beginning of the semester, PR is working on expanding our social media outlets to TikTok, and the final drafts for committee logos are still being worked on and finished. I've just recently got the quote on, and we'll be submitting the purchase request for the nameplates as well, so we should be getting those very soon. Yay, that's all I've got.
All righty, Director of Wellness and Inclusion. All right, Director of Leadership and Development.
Hi everyone. We'll have our first event for student headshot session on March 3rd, 12 to 1 p.m. And then I'm sure this will be a great opportunity to update your LinkedIn bio. Thank you.
All righty, Advisor Artajani. Advisor Wadsworth. All right, that concludes Director reports. Moving into committee reports, starting with Policy Committee. Hello all. We have a time set for Mondays 6 to 7 in Consella A219. That is 6 to 7 p.m. Our first meeting is scheduled for the 9th on Engage. Thank you. Budget Committee.
Morning, everyone. Budget Committee is meeting, if I'm not wrong, Tuesdays at 8 a.m. We're setting up an unofficial meeting sometime very soon, so look out for that. Thank you.
All right, Student Success.
Our student success committee time is set, and we're going to meet bi-weekly on Friday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Student Center Theater, and then you can find that on Student Engage. Our first meeting will be on the 13th.
Student Center.
official meeting will be next Friday, the 6th of February, at 3 to 4 p.m. in the SC Theater. I'm going to discuss in the meeting whether the meeting we should have bi-weekly or weekly, depending on how much work we have right away. I yield.
All right. Wellness and inclusion.
We're meeting every Thursdays from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. in the C Theater, starting from February 5th, and meetings has been added today.
All righty. Food.
Thursdays, 4 to 5 in the Student Center Theater. The only difference is that the committee is now bi-weekly, and the first meeting is on the 5th. Hope to see everyone there.
All righty. Safety and facilities.
Everyone, if I remember correctly, our first meeting is right now set for the 5th at Mondays at 3 p.m. starting on the 5th. Though this is currently a tentative time due to one of our senators' schedule changing, and so they can no longer make it to the meeting. So I'm looking into changing the time and seeing if it's going to stay. Updates will happen on Engage / Clock, wherever events go, if times / location changes. So keep an eye out on that.
All righty. Class. Say again.
Are they happening Monday or the 5th? Because 5th is Thursday.
Oh, I was looking at the wrong. Whoops, my bad. I meant the 9th.
Okay.
On the 9th. All right. Class gift.
12 to 1 p.m. starting next week. We have a survey submitted and under review currently. We are also meeting with administration about one of those options, and we hope to have a resolution on the table by mid-February.
Alrighty. That concludes committee reports. Moving on to organization reports, starting with Webb.
So we have a lot to talk about. Real fast, Anti-Valentine's Day is the 13th from 8 to 10 in the NPR, and our t-shirt competition is live for APOC week. If you open our Instagram, it's our pinned post, Fallout theme, also February 13th. If you have any questions, please email me. I yield.
All right, CFB. Wildcat Media.
Media is currently hiring for this semester. We are looking for staff for the Factory Times, writers, designers, and a lead designer. Wildcat Media is also looking for a publicity coordinator. If you know anyone who'd be interested, please email wildcatmedia@sunypoly.edu. The application's in our Instagram bio. I yield.
Wildcat Esports.
Hello, everyone. Wildcat Esports is happy to report that we're still functional. Our competition begin next week, so please wish our players the best of luck in their games. And additionally, planning for Drive Fest and some smaller future events are also progressing well. Thank you.
Alrighty, that concludes organizational reports. Moving on to approval of changelog. There's nothing to be approved. Moving on to old business. Before we begin, I'd just like to notify the horseshoe as due to the division of question, we will only be reading out the section that is going to be currently voted on. Senator Khan? Yes.
What is that section?
That section would be Webb's allocation for the reserves pool. Senator Khan?
Number 2526-16.
Second by Senator Fisher. You can continue.
We, the Senate of SUNY Poly Student Government Utica, do hereby resolve. Whereas the Student Government Utica recognizes the purpose of the Reserve Fund to support unexpended organizational needs, operational demands, and infrastructure improvements, and whereas the Club Funding Board has experienced an unexpected increase in new club registrations requiring activation funds, as well as a higher volume of extra funding requests, creating the need for additional financial support, and whereas the workload of the Club Funding Board treasurer has significantly increased, necessitating a stipend adjustment to ensure fair and adequate compensation. And whereas the Wildcat Events Board has seen record-setting attendance at its events due to historically high student enrollment, leading to budget strain and internal reallocation of funds that now require replenishment. And whereas esports has expanded its competitive programming, staffing, travel, and event needs beyond its original allocated budget. And whereas Wildcat Media incurred an unexpected subscription expense that may require full payment, and whereas the student government Utica requires computer equipment to maintain efficient operations and administrative capacity, and whereas the student government Utica would like to close the financial barrier on transportation for all students, therefore be it enacted. Wildcat Events Board total $47,700. $7,000 Apocalypse Week 53000, $14,500 Homegrown Events 53000, $3,200 Contracted Events 53000, $5,000 Casino Night 53000, $1,500 Free Movies 53012, $15,000 Bowling 53012, $1,500 Free with ID Events 53012. Resolved the above allocations shall be distributed in accordance with SGU financial policies, and any unused funds shall return to the SGU reserve fund at the end of the fiscal year. And be it further resolved, SGU organizations will be able to operate with an improved budget to compensate for the increase in student population. And be it finally resolved, SGU can provide the student body with a better campus life experience through the allocation and spending of additional funds.
Alrighty. Moving in discussion, I'd like to remind the Horseshoe that a motion was made last week to change the numbers to a total of 28,700, with 7,000 going into the Apocalypse Week line, 5,600 going into Homegrown Events line, 5,000 going into Casino Night line, and 11,100 going into Bowling line, with the removal of the contracted events, free movies, and free with ID events. Starting with Web.
I have a lot to discuss. I want to put out a full disclosure first for everybody. I'm going to speak on something that was not included in the Wildcat Events Board numbers. I have spoken with our Director of Auxiliary Services, John, and asked him to be here for this. I'm going to explain to you all why winter sports is not on this. As if you have not already been made aware of, Free Ski Friday has been delegated down to one date. There is extenuating circumstances for this reason why we couldn't do the February dates, as well as we had to adhere to the 1 month timeline, so things got pushed anyways moving into the semester. There have been heavily email communications involving the Web Exec Board as well as the advisors, and the best date we could settle with, and that is the March 6th date. We will, though, be using, so we are not wasting our funds, and we have approval from, as I said, John, we will be having 3 dates that fall under winter sports that are allocated to free bowling. They fall under February and March, as technically it is still the winter season, and they are bowling as a sport. And the final date falls in April, and that is the one that will be paid for using the line transfer that is on the table, one of them. And this is another reason why we remove free bowling from the reserves pool line, because it's to conservatively use all the money we have before we ask for more. So just wanted to put that out there for everybody. If anybody has any questions, obviously I would direct most of them to John Reel, because I don't know how to explain the parent line accounts. I yield to Senator Novak real quick.
Bowling is still on the reserves pool for 11K. Are you looking at then striking the 11K from bowling from the reserves pool if we no longer need that money for free bowling?
Yes.
I yield for Web. I yield the Web.
Yes, it should have been struck last week. It was on my list of things that was struck last week. If not, I can obviously make a motion. Can I motion to remove $11,100 and free bowling line from Webb's reserves pool?
We have a motion to remove the $11,100 from the bowling line. Is there a second? Second by Senator Novak. Moving discussion on the amendment. Is there any discussion for this amendment?
What would that end up being the total for your Because last week we said it was 28,700. What would that? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry.
All right. Is there any further discussion for this amendment? Seeing no further discussion, we'll be moving to voting on striking the 11,100 from the bowling line. All those in favor of this amendment, please raise your hand. All those opposed and all those who abstain. That passes 8-0-1. Back into discussion of Webb's section as a whole. Webb?
Okay. Can I please make a motion to change the Casino Night line under Web to now state $7,034.41 to make a final total of Web Reserves pool to be $19,634.41. I have further explanation.
We have a motion as stated by Webb, and I'll have you restate that when we go into voting. Is there a second? Second by Senator Rose. Moving discussion on the motion. Is there any discussion?
To put it out there, I have a breakdown. I will obviously explain it. Right now, what we're looking at is this number with the reserves pool is a cumulative number that combines the 2 line transfers that are on the table for casino night. This breakdown of casino night is the one with the reserves pool. These are what we consider our wants for casino night. We want to grow casino night to be something bigger, better, and also update it. If you have not noticed over the past few years, chip holders, card holders, tables, and table mats are getting destroyed or broken, and we can't use them. We're also missing a roulette wheel / marble thing, whatever it is, for roulette. And this would bring our ideal wants that would upgrade. Also, it would also include an upgrade of chips. The old chips that we have right now say SUNY IT. I literally have no idea when they were bought, but it predates a lot. So the new chips would include SUNY Poly. And then this would also, we would be purchasing a blow-up arch, so we don't have to keep purchasing a balloon arch every time or other decorations. We have other decorations that we have, but an arch would also make it easier to find. It is supplies that are just upgrades. So the final, breaking it down for you all, prizes would then be made to $5,800, dealers would be made to $5,000, and supplies would be totaled $7,280 for a total of casino night at $18,080. This is including that $7,000 that I just added, and this is also including the 2 line transfers. I will start there. If there are any questions, I yield.
Is there any further discussion? Senator Rose?
One thing that was discussed in the pre-meeting, pro tem meeting is maybe some of the funds from prizes could, to reduce total costs, some of the funds from prizes could be moved to other things, because the prizes, they're fun, it's a spectacle, but it only really ends up benefiting a handful of students. So whereas if you put money from prizes, I think you said 5,000.
That is, oh, I'm sorry, you're still speaking.
Yeah, but if you put that towards maybe some more dealers, that would benefit the whole event and all of the students going to the event. I yield to Webb.
So the original, if we take out the line transfers and everything, and we kept the 5,000 that was in there before we made a motion to change it, that actually drops prize numbers than what we've always usually paid for. That drops it by, I think, about $300-400. This is adding a $200 increase from what we spent in the fall. Dealers was already upped as is. The most that we're really looking at is the supplies for the new chips. It also helps because students have obviously taken chips, and these new chips would be brand new to them. It would make our lives easier also, as this event falls under Apocalypse Week this year. So the new chips would already get rid of people trying to bring in old ones. The prizes, I can tell you right now, we're trying to at least differentiate, do a few more, but in the sense that it's easier for more people to win. So we spread things out a little bit. It's obviously still being talked about, but these are the numbers that we have. I believe I answered your question in full. I yield to Senator Novak.
Can we get a attachment or something sent out that has the entire breakdown, like in email form or something, just that way we can look at it more easily?
Yeah. I'm sending it to Forrest. Would you mind putting this into that email chain?
Yep.
For me? Thank you. It has, if you have really, it's my messy handwriting. I'm so sorry. We did the math 8 times over. But if you have any questions, please ask, because I understand that things are a little different on here than what I've just spoken about, as it includes a 3-part breakdown of a keeping OG reserves pool with the line transfers, adding the new money that we just motioned for with the line transfers, only getting one of the line transfers. It's a few different plans. So if you have any questions, please do ask when you receive it. I yield.
All right. Is there any further discussion? I will have this out as soon as I can, but is there any further discussion while I'm sending this out? Our audience member?
Yes, the motion that we made has included made the reserve pool to say $7,034.41. So this would include our supplies. This is included in dealers and supplies kind of breakdown. So our dealers, we're looking to boost them because if you were there at last casino night, we had a record-breaking attendance number. We can buy more tables. It also includes with the supplies part with buying the new roulette table. The best way I can sell this to you guys is more tables equals we can actually see better because the distribution of students is more spread out and we can catch cheaters easier as well. I yield to Advisor Wadsworth.
So I think the 5,000, if I'm correct, Webb, was just for the dealers, and I think we talked about saving the buffer because April in higher education is a very busy time, and they will likely either upcharge or travel time. You know, we always anticipate inflation too, so it was just an increase of a couple $100s to ensure that we were able to keep either the same amount of dealers or increase by one or two if able to. But yeah, like Webb said too, being able to spread everything out a little bit more is always helpful.
All right, just a point of clarity. Does everyone have the file? Did everyone receive it? All right. Back into discussion. Senator Novak.
So just looking at these numbers, I'm ignoring the wants, just looking at the needs. It says that the current, I'm guessing this is the current budget, you have the money that you need for the needs because there's an $895 leftover, if I'm understanding that correctly.
So that $6,000 right there is spread between prizes, supplies, and dealers. Prizes, with that $6,000, prizes would be allocated to $2,320.59. Supplies would be allocated to $700, and dealers would be allocated to $3,075. For reference, for any new people who at the Horseshoe as well as this campus, Apocalypse Week draws in numbers like no tomorrow. I have already in the fall seen some insane numbers, and if we are to extend that to this Apocalypse Week, this would not be enough for us to even support the best of the best for that week. I yield.
Is there any further discussion? Senator Beckman?
Dealer thing, but I would like to add, I don't think the number of dealers that they had originally was sufficient. If you can't all be playing at the same time, that's not enough dealers for one area. We had to keep getting up, switching. So I don't think adding more money to the dealer column would be a bad thing. I yield.
Webb?
For you all, but just for the rotating part, it's just because some students would stay at a table the entire time. That's all. We would still add the rotation, but it would make things a little bit more seamless because we would have more tables for people to sit at, so we might not need to rotate every 10, 15 minutes. Maybe it's every 20, 25. Another thing for the dealers is, like I mentioned, that one roulette table. We had an issue in the fall where a roulette table was caught because we only had one, and that was one of the most popular. We had a student who was caught cheating at that table, so a second table would expand it so we can have eyes on it better. I yield to Senator Novak.
I feel like a big thing that would solve the cheating and also the problem with not having enough dealers, and this is something coming from somebody who's been going to casino night since 2023, is Webb, or whoever was responsible for doing it, needs to do a better job of policing along with the dealers. I've never once seen any policing going on at casino night, and I think that's a big problem with what's going on in a lot of this because, I mean, maybe it's gone better, but a lot of the problems, as mentioned, is when people are told that they need to get up for the microphone, they don't get up, and then there's nobody to enforce that, and the dealers don't enforce it. And if we actually had staff that went to enforce this, it wouldn't be a problem. Because I remember one time in the past, I had to get Benjamin Young involved just to be able to get a seat at a table because there was no one policing or enforcing these rules. And if we had these rules actually enforced, we wouldn't need as many dealers or other issues because it wouldn't be a problem. And it would be easy to have one person police 2 tables or all that. And to my knowledge, Webb has a lot of staff, and we don't need like 10 staff behind the prize counter at all time. You just need like 1 staff to watch the prize counter one staff to give out chips, and then one staff to do announcements / hand chips in for tickets, at least in my opinion, and the rest of the staff members could then go into policing / the front, therefore evening up the numbers. And therefore also adding more tables or deals would also increase the amount of staff you need to properly police it. I yield to Chair.
Webb?
In the plainest way possible, you guys have not run this event. You don't see the back end of how it actually works. This past fall, we included athletic coaches actually policing the tables. We have many staff who volunteer to help out. We'll see how this spring works, but yes, someone always does need to be by the prize side. There are too many people who go behind the already sanctioned off area that we have to remind them every single time, please do not go. We had coaches rotating, we have staff rotating. It is 400 students. 3 people doing check-in was very hard that I already had to put. I had people on exchange table. I had to have staff doing tickets only because it's just the best way to do it when they're exchanging their chips for tickets. We had staff walking around. We had staff looking that were checking for cheaters. We've caught a few over the years just because of it. Just personally, you guys are playing. You don't see the side that we see. We have a lot already policing, but the more tables would open it up to see better as well. I yield to Advisor Wadsworth, actually.
And the only thing I'd like to add too is that we have student event coordinators, and in some instances student volunteers for Web as well, but there's only an extent of what they can do. There's only so many of them compared to over 400 students. There's a lot going on. And there have been staff for the past many years that would go and would help rotate and watch, but again, 400 of them versus so many tables is very difficult, and the student event planners can only do so much, and to avoid certain circumstances, there's certain tasks that we ask them not to do, not to hand out tickets, and so it's better coming from staff, which is why, yes, we did work with the athletic coaches, and in the past we've had many staff volunteer for the event. I yield. I'm going to actually, can I take back my yield? I'm yielding to.
Yeah.
I just want to add to Advisor Wadsworth. Webb was told students are not to address students that they believe were cheating or stealing. It is not a student's place to address that type of behavior. It is ours. As far as policing, this isn't criminal activity. This is a college campus event. So as far as university police, they can be there, and they did walk through to make sure there's nothing crazy as far as fighting and whatnot. But as far as policing tables, that's not a thing. This isn't a criminal environment. And we can only do what we can as far as volunteers. It's very late at night. We can't expect staff to be here after hours. But as far as web staff, they were directly told by myself they were not to address students directly if it came to any type of cheating or whatnot. That is not their place to do so. I yield.
Senator Novak?
I was using the second definition of policing, the enforcement of regulations or an agreement, not policing as in criminal processing, but or the enforcement of laws by a police force. So what I meant is, in the past, I was not at casino night last semester, I'll be honest about that, but in the previous semesters when I've seen people and they give the announcement to give things up, like, for people to get up and give up the seats, two things would avoid, what happen if someone doesn't get up. One, the dealer would do nothing about it, even if that same person's been sitting at the table for 45 minutes. I'm not sure if there's something you need to be talking to the dealers for them to, actually enforce these rules and regulations, which, I could see it being done by the dealers not putting them in, or not, refusing to deal them in, or other stuff such as that, because I've seen the dealers just completely ignore it, and that doesn't do anything. But also, I never see staff or anyone going up, hey, you've been at this table for long enough, you need to get up because you're taking spots from other students. I've never seen it. The only time I ever saw that was when I got Benjamin Young to do that for me, because that night, casino night, I was waiting 45 minutes for a table, and Benjamin Young, I think, even when he did that, because at the time I was under him as a CFB member and he was my advisor. So if I did not have that friendly informal connection with Benjamin Young. I'm not even sure if that would have happened in the first place. So my point is, I feel like we could have staff saying, hey, listen, you've been at this table long enough, you need to rotate out because it's only fair to other people, or having dealers then go and not deal them in.
Off track of what the reserves pool actually is. The dealers don't work here, so we just can't like ask them to do things that's not in their contract. But I just feel like we need to.
Alrighty. Webb.
You had stated you were not there in the fall. Everything that you just stated was done in the fall. Everything was policed very heavily by coaches and my staff as well. Last year, we found the issues that weren't working, and that's why this fall ran much smoother, and we only had one incident instead of 5. I yield back to the floor.
All right. Is there any further discussion? Our audience member?
So, got a little ahead of me. We are doing a Boston trip. We're still doing that, so we're still using our funds and everything. What this is if you look at the sheet and it goes under wants. I'm so sorry. If you look at the sheet, if you look in the blue handwriting, it says ideal want adding LT2. LT2 is line transfer 2, so that is adding that small number of amount to include it. We're also getting out of the winter season-ish, and things have already started happening that would have done school outings, like we would have done the trip to Old Forge and everything. We are also a 1-month out policy right now, and considering 1 month out, we are end of February, and that stuff's already skipped, so that is why we're going to do Boston. Still offer it so it's fair to the students, and this is also a, once again, reminder, this $7,000 that we have added is so we can get those line transfers through, by the way. I yield to our audience member. So a little bit of part of that is we have a lot of now off-campus things we're going to be offering with Free with ID that we found that we can do. That's why we moved it off of reserves pool, because we realized we had enough left that we can still go to the trampoline park, free ice skating, free roller skating, and it's still enough off-campus that we found it was sufficient to match the Boston trip. So that is why we have that leftover money. It's also another thing of it's leftover money. We want to get rid of it so we are not saying that we wasted money this year.
Alrighty. Is there any further discussion? Senator Novak?
I guess my final thing, the reason why I was bringing up the other stuff was just by saying I don't think buying more tables and buying more deals is going to solve the issues. I just think it's going to personally make the issues worse, which was my point of bringing up the last stuff. But I don't see personally why we need almost $20K to go to casino night. I feel like that's a bit too much money. I understand casino night's popular and all that, but I feel like $20K is a bit much for a singular day of events, especially when we have other events in the same week, which could benefit from a larger budget such as Carnival Day, which is one that people also really like and has a big turnout. So I just feel like personally we should be looking at, instead of spending that much money on one event that is theoretically should be a lower budget event, we could look at other things in the event to either cut or reduce on, such as prizes, to better do this number so not spending so much money on a 3-hour period of one day. I yield.
Senator Rose?
Probably Webb would say this, but a lot of the expenditures for this, I believe were said, are stuff that's going to stick around for following casino nights, like, for example, new chips, or other things are not just for this casino night. They'll carry over like some other things like the broken table, that kind of stuff. I yield to Webb.
Kind of said it already out from under me. But I'd also like to put it into perspective. You see that $7,000 that's in Apocalypse Week, that's going to the other events that week. We have switched up Apocalypse Week completely and made it totally something new and better, we hope. We're not doing things that are normal every year. But once again, I have to feel the need that I'm trying to explain this in the best way that I can, that you guys can see how much goes into this, that it's not worth defunding. This event is ginormous, and there's so much that gets put into it. And there's stuff that we're even DIYing. So I yield to Advisor Wadsworth.
We had a very long conversation about Casino Night the other day, kind of in mix with Carnival Day, and about how Carnival Day currently, I believe it's $28,000 that is allocated to Carnival Day just for this year. Casino Night wildly goes above and beyond that attendance as we would get for Carnival Day. So I think we're trying to reframe the idea of Carnival Day and Casino Night and almost switching them to, if Casino Night is the most popular event on campus, why are we trying to push Carnival Day to be the biggest event on campus if Casino Night is right in front of us? So we're talking a lot about how can we make Casino Night the Carnival Day that we all want it to be. So that is kind of what Webb was really brainstorming the other day, and why they're asking for additional funding too, is that they're trying to kind of switch the rhetoric a little bit. I yield.
All right, our audience member. We are still in the amendment to increase, yeah. Is there any further discussion for the amendment? Seeing no further discussion, I'd just like Webb to restate the amendment just so that it's fresh in everyone's mind before we get into voting.
Motion to change Casino Night line under Webb to now state $7,034.41 for a final total of the Webb Reserves Pool to be $19,634.41.
All right, going into voting. All those in favor of the motion to change the Casino Night line, please raise your hand. All those opposed? And all those who abstain? That passes 5-2. Back into discussion of Webb's allocation as a whole. Is there any further discussion? Our audience member.
We had to bump it down to 3. February had, the first 2 weeks had full events. We bumped it down to follow the 1-month timeline based off of how the reserves pool is going, and we just pumped March and April with events. So we bought those events back, but they are enough that the line transfers would cover, so there's no reason to ask for more money when we would have a lot left over, so the line transfers will be covering. Obviously, we'll get into conversation about this during the line transfers, but that is the best I can describe at this time without going too off topic.
All right. Is there any further discussion for Webb's allocation? Our audience member?
$7,000 is planned to go to 2 brand new idea events that are going to be hopefully big. Rodeo Night and Ren Fair Night. Rodeo Night is going to be something where we have lots of people come in. We've got line dancing, we've got clubs. Ren Fair Night, which clubs will find out soon when they get that email. We are going to have clubs put on booths, all that kind of stuff. It's like an entire SC takeover. We are just going to pump these events because they are something that the team is so passionate about, and I want to make sure these happen and we don't just have a late night at Poly with a milkshake bar that takes $3,000 and then the rest is other stuff. So this would pump that. We also have a comedian that week, and we're looking to kind of go a little bit bigger of a comedian. Obviously not a $20,000 comedian, but it's something that we're just reframing Apocalypse Week. That is where this money is going to go to. I yield.
Alrighty. Is there any further discussion for Webb's allocation of funds? Seeing no further discussion, I'm going to refer to either the treasurer or Webb if you have the final numbers for every line so that that can be read out. Go ahead.
Numbers, we're going to start with the total. The final numbers for the Wildcat Events Bar is a total of $19,634.41, with $7,000 in the Apocalypse Week line, $5,600 in the Homegrown Events line, $7,034.41 in the Casino Night line. And that's it.
Alrighty. Seeing no further discussion, we'll move into voting on Webb's allocation. All those in favor of Webb's allocation of the reserves pool, please raise your hand. All those opposed, and all those who abstain, that passes 6-0-3. Moving on, I'd like to ask Senator Khan to read out esports allocation.
$500 publicity promotions jerseys 53006, $2,000 FragFest 53008, $1,000 coaching 57002, $3,000 travel and conference 57001.
Thank you, Senator Khan. I'm going to give the floor to esports to give a brief explanation on the numbers. All right, is there any discussion? Our audience member? Senator Novak?
This is a question again, I guess based on the jerseys. What jerseys got in last semester? Because I don't remember. If so, I know a majority of the players, to my knowledge at least, Wildcat esports numbers, if anything, have decreased from last semester when it comes to total players. And a majority of those players are players returning from last fall semester. if that's the case, that means the majority of the people who are going to get jerseys already have them. In which case, why do we need to buy new jerseys if the jerseys are already in the hands of the people who would get them? Because I can understand buying jerseys for next academic year, but I can't see why someone would want to buy 2 jerseys in 2 semesters, year to esports.
Well, our promise was that every single player would get jerseys, and last semester only 18 players got jerseys, which is why I said around 20%, because there's a lot of people on B teams and C teams and D teams. For Smash, there's only 5 out of 20 people that got jerseys, and that's very disappointing. And I know your point about people coming back, so a lot of the 18 players, actually not even a lot, half the 18 players are gone from roster, so half of those are now B team players who, again, don't have jerseys. And I would hope to also fulfill the promise for those B team players that although aren't on the team anymore, they were part of our community, and I would like to fulfill a promise of, hey, your jersey is here, you were once part of us.
Senator Rose.
So just to clarify, are people who last semester did get jerseys, they're not getting jerseys? Yeah, I yield.
All right. I'd like to direct a question to esports. You said that you may or may not use the $1,000 in the coaching line. Is there a plan in case you don't use it for that?
I would like to, well, I've already reached out to the team managers for the coach, so they're already in talks, but there's a chance that they don't. If that does happen, then I'll probably do a line transfer over to general programming and just have more money towards events.
All righty. Is there any further discussion for esports allocation of the reserves pool? Seeing no further discussion, we'll move into voting for esports allocation totaling $10,500, $4,500 going to publicity and promotions, $2,000 going to FragFest, $1,000 going to coaching, and $3,000 going to travel and conference. All those in favor of esports allocation, please raise your hand. All those opposed and all those who abstain, that passes 8-0-1. Moving on to Wildcat Media's allocation, can I have Senator Khan please read out Wildcat Media's?
Total $20,000, $4,000 studio equipment 54001, $16,000 subscriptions 53041.
All right, I'll give the floor to Wildcat Media to give a brief explanation on the numbers.
Basically, we did last semester we did a line transfer, and that's basically to replenish the line transfer. We paid the radio with that. Because the situation with the radio is that we have not gotten billed. We have not renewed our contract. Avi could talk more about it, because there is legal things going on. I literally do not know much about it. All I know is that we got a scary email. I saw the last time we had a contract with this company was 2021, and they're like, they've still been giving us the product, so the school just never was like, hey, you don't really the company never sent us, they sent us emails being like, buy more of our products, but they never sent us our bill. They have our email, so them not sending us our bill for years is kind of their fault, not us as an org. We've always budgeted this money with our budget in case this was to happen. Last year we were told that we didn't need to budget this money anymore into our budget, and now it happened. So this money, if we don't use it, it's just a safeguard in case we have to be asked for it, and if we don't plan to use it, it goes directly back into reserves. The $4,000 will be used to continue our studio upkeep, to repair camera, basically how studio operations, which include our emergency repair line.
All right. Senator Rose?
It seems like all this is just strictly necessary pretty much.
Yeah.
So I don't see any potential for controversy. I think this is fine.
Yeah, John Reel's not here anymore, but the amount is directly coming from him. The only thing I put was to do the line, replace our line transfer, because I literally was he literally sent me an email and was like, when you guys do reserves poll, ask for X amount. So I was like, he even told me to ask for more, so I put the the 16,000. He wanted me to originally ask for like 20,000, but I was like, I'm gonna put the less amount of that because I don't know if it's gonna actually, and I could always do line transfers in case they ask for more money.
Point of clarification, is the 4,000 or the 16,000 for paying the company?
16,000.
Okay.
The 4,000 is just replacing the line transfer I did earlier.
All right. Is there any further discussion for our advisor?
At media, it looks like in the budget you got about $8,000 for studio equipment. What is the need for the additional 4,000?
It's because I took 5,000 out of that 8,000 to pay for the radio for last semester because we didn't have enough in our subscriptions line.
So what's the plan for the rest of it?
The rest of the money is we have to repair a camera, we have to repair a laptop, we are buying a new laser machine that will be hopefully used this semester. It's basically, that's really, when we buy anything, it comes out of that.
Alrighty. Is there any further discussion for Wildcat Media's allocation of the reserves pool? Seeing no further discussion, we'll be going on voting for Wildcat Media's allocation totaling $20,000, with $4,000 going into the studio equipment line and $16,000 going into the subscriptions line. All those in favor of Wildcat Media's allocation, please raise your hand. Okay. All those opposed and all those who abstain, that passes 9-0-0. Moving on to the SGU's computers allocation. Can I have Senator Khan?
Total $16,000. $16,000 office supplies 59004.
Thank you. I'm going to open the floor to our president. In the division of the question, then Senator Khan, could you please also read out the Central Bus Initiative?
Central Bus Initiative, $6,000. $6,000 Central Bus Line, new line creation.
All right. I will first give the floor to our president if he would like to offer any words on the allocations.
So for the $16,000, it's based off of a quota that IT has given us. We decided to add a little extra just in case market changes and it gets a little bit more expensive and we end up not being able to afford it. The central bus, I can explain the math real quick. So for a full pass for 1 week, if you can pull out your calculator, you can follow me with this. It's $12 for a week of bus access. So $12 per week. If I'm not wrong, we have 14 weeks left. So if you do 12 times 14, that should give you 168. That should give you 168. And with $6,000, that will be able to give us free bus for about 35 students. So that's the explanation for about 35. Maybe a few extras, but about 35 for the rest of the year. So that's the explanation for that 6,000. Thank you.
Senator Novak.
So a couple things that the numbers, at least to me, is aren't adding up. First off, if we only need $1,600 for the bus line, why are we asking for 6,000? Or is it 1,600 or 100,600? I think you said 100,600 actually. Or is that per one person per week? The second thing also is, if the office supplies are only going to computers, and theoretically we're buying one computer per board member, that is 4 computers in total, if I remember the origins of this correctly from the budget meeting. That would be $4K per computer, which is more expensive than buying a maximum power gaming PC. An office computer, like for a good office computer, is $900, and if we do 900 per exec member, that would only be like 3.6K, not the 6K we're looking at here, or 16K we're looking at here. So to me, at least, the 16K is grossly high for at least buying a monitor.
Can I just point of clarification?
Yeah.
There are not only 4 computers. It is computers for the entire suite. So all the orders, anybody that had a computer run by SGU would have to get new computers.
Including Laura.
I don't know the total, but just so you know, it's not 4,000 per computer. There's way more than 4. So.
I guess my point then goes into why do we need to buy new computers for the other staff members? Because the office computers, if they work and they're able to run Windows 10 or 11 with all of the stuff that is required for the orgs, there's no reason to buy new computers. I yield.
All right, President Lunahara.
So I think the main understanding with the computers is that with IT, we can use them only up until a certain date, and they have all running out, or they are very close to running out, and we need to get new computers to continue to be able to use them. And 16,000, that's for, if I'm not wrong, 12 computers. 12 computers, 11 normal high-end office computers, and one specifically for the director of PR, because they would need specific heavier things for editing and whatnot. To explain the central bus again, the 6,000, it's for 35 students for 14 weeks, which is the rest of the year. I could go over the math again if you want me to, because I feel like there was a bit of a misunderstanding there. I yield.
Wildcat Media.
The thing is, basically, the computers are Windows 10. IT says they're not going to literally support any computer that's Windows 10. So after that certain date, the computers will literally be bricks on a desk, and that is not that's literally SGU, not SGU. That's literally IT. Wildcat Media that's why when Wildcat Media buys computers, we don't buy them through IT. We have 3 computers that are not, we were told by our, by Perta. I don't know if you know him. He does like what we do for the school. Our programs literally do not run on IT sanctioned computers. We have a couple of them that are IT sanctioned, but literally your guys' computers will basically be effectively bricked. Yeah, by IT. I yield to Senator Novak.
So, I'm getting at this as a CS graduate student, so somebody who is, I guess, in the CS and IT field. First off, I guess I don't see if the problem is IT is going to not support computers running Windows 10. You can buy Windows 11 HUD upgrade and chips for. You can buy an upgrade software for Windows 11. You don't need to buy an entire new computer to use Windows 11. And even a computer that was an office computer that came out when Windows 7 is a thing can run Windows 11. Base Windows 11 is not performance heavy, and therefore we don't need to be buying entire new computers if we can just upgrade them for $100 to Windows 11. At least to me, I think just buying a Windows 11 license is a lot cheaper than buying a whole new computer. But second off, if we're getting 12 new PCs, I'm looking at specifically at a specific PC, the Dell Tower Desktop ECT1250, and this comes with an Intel Core Ultra 7-265 processor, which is a very good processor for, that can run anything that we would need for SGU, that even it would be able to run all of the editing software that the PR people would need. And it comes with 32 gigabytes of memory, a 1 terabyte SSD, with a mouse and Windows 11. This doesn't come with a keyboard or a
I'm sorry, I'm just going to point of order. It's not like SGU just puts in the purchase request to pick out whatever computer they'd like. It's whatever IT has on their contract. So there might be alternate options, but this is the option that IT gave us that they use for typical office computers. There are certain options that they have available. They picked out one that was working, but it's not like the best quality ever, I will admit, but it's something that works for the needs that you all have, because at the end of the day, it's preferred that SGU work be done on school computers because you're doing schoolwork.
Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is this is the top ends for office computers, and it's $900. 900 times 12 is 10,800. That's still about 5,000 short of the number that is requested. And so unless we're buying better than high-end office computers, I don't see still why we need 16K then for 12 computers when 11K does the same exact thing. I yield.
Webb?
Open forum to 150, please.
We have a motion to put back open forum to 150. Is there a second? Second by Pro Temp Ludewan. Moving into voting on pushing back open forum. All those in favor of pushing back open forum to 150, please raise your hand. All those opposed? And all those who abstain? That passes 6-1-2. All right, back into discussion as a whole. Our audience member?
So first of all, the reason why we use our personal computers is because we don't have those computers. In addition as well, if anything related to SGU, if for example, for whatever reason there's a legal issue, we don't want our personal computers to be taken as evidence because they're going to have to go through that. That's why it is very not recommended to use your personal computers, but we've taken that personal liability because we don't have we don't have the work computers, right? And in terms of this, the price, ideally, my first proposition was to get cheaper computers, right? Because it's office work. But with the way things work, we have to be set up with being able to log in within the SUNY system, within the SUNY Poly system. And in order to do that, we have to go through IT. And this is the best price that they have given us. In addition, just to give you guys a more specific number, the total amount for the computers is about 11,421. But I'm pretty sure our monitors are starting to run out of dates as well, and we're waiting for a quote from IT in terms of how much that will be. That is why we have taken an extra buffer of 16,000 in order to cover that. And as of right now, we don't know how much the monitors are going to be coming from IT, so that is why there's that little extra buffer. But besides that, ideally, obviously, we want to get the cheapest thing. The cheapest and good thing that will be able to get us what we need to get done. But in order for us to have everything set up within the SUNY Poly system so we can log in with our thing, it has to go through IT, and this is the price that IT has given us.
I would like to, before going into further discussion, just for a point of clarity, or point of actually information to the general horseshoe, this may happen to the orgs for what they did with the computers. It's not just a brick that is sitting there. They actually just took them. We didn't have any say in that or anything. So if that follows suit going forward, they would also just take them from the orgs. We wouldn't actually have even outdated computers to use. We would simply have nothing to use. We're going to start with Senator Pena.
Senator Novak said, we could just change the Windows keys, and it's like $100 for Windows 11. So you can't ask IT for that specifically, or they're telling you to buy new computers?
So that's a whole IT thing. Ideally, if we could just update it, we would have done that. As right now, since it's outdated Windows 10, they just took our computers, and we haven't heard back anything from them at all. So as of right now, it is kind of beyond our control in order to update them because it's technically IT. I could be wrong. I'm not sure exactly how I'll yield to. You'll be able to.
Computers, they're saying you need a nicer updated computer. In order to use the school's networking system and the ability, if you have something that's not working, to be able to put in a help desk ticket with our IT, this is what you have to do. If you choose to just change a button, I don't know what that means, I don't speak IT. If you just change a button, you will not be able to log in with your SITNet number. You will not have the protections that whatever you do related to this work, that's the only thing they can see, that's the only information on there. So in order to stay looped into the university, this is what has to be done. So you would be taking the liability on SGU if you went outside of that network. I yield.
The senators, because as of right now, senators have no access to any SGU computers, so I'm thinking at that point, all senators will still be left at a personal liability.
President Minohara.
So the decision behind whether laptops or desktop was just decision we made as an executive board. We could ask quotes for laptops if it's what works, but I mean, we just decided desktop just to keep it there. I yield.
Senator Novak.
Again, the math just isn't adding up because I quickly did some math based off of just numbers I found online. Of course, I don't have the exact numbers for exact models that IT would buy, but this is not based off of bulk prices, just based off of prices on Amazon for stuff, for office supplies, that is basically high end for what would we need for SGU. 12 PCs would be $10,800. Keyboards would be $576 for 12 keyboards, and monitors would be.
I'm just going to cut you off right there. We're in an open forum. You can continue your thought, though.
But monitors would be $1,080 per 12 ones, adding to for cost $12,456 for 12 PCs that come with mouse, monitor, and keyboard and all necessary wires. That's still $3K less than the asked for number.
All right, before we continue any further discussion, we have swear-ins today. I'd like to ask all those who are being sworn in today to please come to the center of the horseshoe.
All right, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Will faithfully uphold the student government of Utica Constitution and carry out the duties of. State your organization and position. To the best of my ability. And will represent the students of SUNY Poly in a fair and unbiased manner. Congratulations.
Sign in. Pardon me, could you please come back up to the front of the horseshoe here? We just need you to sign in. Swear in.
You just write your name and your position.
All right, we're in open forum proper. Is there any discussion for open forum? President Lunahara?
So, just to answer Senator Novak, if we could buy off Amazon, we would have. The only reason why we don't is because
We're not in discussion of
Okay.
the resolution, so it's just for discussion of open forum.
I'll talk.
Webb?
Open discussion on resolution number 2526-17.
That motion can be made. Is there a second? On 17, correct?
17, yeah.
Yes.
That's the first one, I believe.
We have a motion to open. I'm sorry. Do we have a second? I can't see. I apologize. Seeing no second, that motion dies. Senator Novak?
Only thing I want to ask the president is what you meant by for the Mako's Lab / Mako's space, turning it into a specialized space. At least to me, as a club executive, it's just a tiny bit of a concern hearing that, just because already a lot of clubs use that space as a general club space for creative things, because a lot of big open tables and whiteboards we can use to plan things. I know Creativity Club uses it. To my knowledge, Women in Engineering uses it, and so do some other clubs, including, I think, even believe Baja Club use it. And so I guess the idea is, if we specialize it into something, would that club space still be there for the multiple clubs that use that space?
Yeah. Yes, it will still be there.
Our audience member?
Considering that you guys passed the 7,000 edition, that would pretty much what I discussed is adding in those line transfers, and those line transfers would make it easier that we can start things earlier and while we wait for the reserves pool to get passed, because it's obviously going to be another week. I yield.
All right. Is there any further discussion for open forum? Webb?
Up discussion on resolution 2526-17.
Since that motion was already made and there was no second, you cannot try again for the motion.
I tried.
Our audience member? Thank you. Is there any further discussion for open forum? Wildcat Media?
One of the library doors to go into the library.
Gotcha. All right. Any further discussion? Can I get a motion to adjourn? Pro Tem Lunawon? Is there a second? Second by Senator Beckman. All in favor of motioning to adjourn, please raise your hand. All those opposed, all those who abstain, we are now adjourned at 1:56.